The Winnipeg Jets have done it once again. Kevin Cheveldayoff and his amateur scouting team has squeezed blood from a stone at the 2025 NHL Entry Draft. Despite having only 5 picks in the draft, the Jets came out of it with a couple of studs, a couple of guys who I'm super duper excited to have in the Winnipeg Jets prospect pool. I'm super duper excited to talk to you guys all about them and where they fit into the Jets' future, but before we jump into the video, I could not help but notice on our last one, about 90%, 1 in 10 of our watchers on the last video were not subscribed to the Jets Digest channel. I'd really suggest you throw us a subscription. We're going to be doing content all throughout the off season. You know, free agency is just around the corner, and lots of dominoes to fall for the Winnipeg Jets. You don't want to miss anything that we are making here. Please do throw us a subscription. But now, let's jump right into the video. Of course, we got to start with the Jets' first round pick, 28th overall. We have Sasha Boun, a very French-sounding name for a guy who was born in Finland, grew up in Sweden, and then moved over to North America to play in Ohio for the Youngstown Phantoms. Some Jets fans may recognize that team name. That is where Kyle Connor, you guys know Kyle Connor, right? This is where Kyle Connor played in Ohio and developed. So nice little nod to him there. But in regards to this player here, he is a 6'2", 184-pound left-handed defenseman. He is a defenseman with a good stick. He's a puck mover. He's got good foot speed. But the reason why I'm super duper excited about this player, let's look over at his resume from the 2025 IIHF Men's U18 tournament, where he set a record among defensemen with 14 points in 7 games. He was named the best defenseman of the tournament, and he won a silver medal with Sweden. So that, as its own way, it gives him, I would say, a good amount of credence and a good amount of credit to to show that he is going to be a good first round pick. But the reason why I really like this player, he is young. And, when you're picking at 28 in the draft, you're not going to get, surefire NHLers. But when you pick a guy who's a bit younger, it gives you it gives them the chance to have more time to grow and more time to develop. Think about if he were, maybe even a bit younger, he could potentially be in next year's draft class where, he's got another year in the NCAA to put down some crazy numbers. This year he wasn't able to do anything too crazy with Boston University, but he had 40 games, 3 goals, 10 assists for 13 points. But again, defensemen are not always going to be huge point producers. But the reason why I like him a lot too was he was the youngest player in the NCAA at the start of the season. So despite being the youngest player in the NCAA to start the season, he was able to gain his coach's trust to the point where he became an absolute minute muncher for Boston University. He was playing 24 to 25 minutes a night. Boston University ended up making to the national semifinal in the Frozen Four. He's, as I said before, he's got good foot speed. He's a good puck mover. He's got good stick. From what I had seen in videos too, he's got a great shot. He looks like a guy who could easily be a second power play guy for the Jets eventually, a second pairing guy. I really like the tools that this guy has. He's young. He's got a chance to grow. I think the points that we're going to see out of him next year are going to be a huge sign as to seeing, what he has for potential. But otherwise, again, great vision, great motor. He's good at transition. You can see even on this graphic here, he's got shades of Cam Fowler, which, is a good comparable. So I'm super excited for this guy. I think he's going to be a solid player for the Jets in the future, and if not, at very least, a good trade piece. But let's move on now to the Winnipeg Jets' third round pick, picked at number 92 overall. We are, of course, talking about Owen Martin. He is a center. He played this year for Spokane in the WHL. He only played 39 games, tallying 13 goals, 21 assists, and 34 points. He missed some time this year with a tendon injury from blocking a shot, which leads into what I want to talk about this guy. He has a lot of character, a lot of work ethic, is a two-way player. He played both power play and PK time. So from what I'm seeing here, we can even read his little elevator pitch given here by Elite Prospects. This late season riser combines a detailed defensive game with transition and playmaking skill. If the tools take a step, he could surprise. And, by the time you're at the third round, you're already starting to just throw darts at players. And so getting guys who have good toolboxes has certain things that, allow them to grow. Having a defensive mentality, he wins faceoffs. And along with all of that, being able to still have some good offensive abilities. He's from what I'd seen, he has some. He is a nimble skater. He's got decent hands. He's a good forechecker. He was very strong this year in the playoffs for Spokane. And another thing to love if you're a Jets fan, if you're from Winnipeg, he's a hometown guy. He's from Oakbank. So, it's always hard for the Jets to get players to come to Winnipeg and stay with Winnipeg. So drafting a guy who's from here, he even said that it was a dream to get drafted by the Winnipeg Jets. So this is a guy who I think has a lot of potential. If he can take a step and, start producing a little bit more offensively next year, this is a guy who I think could surprise, could potentially be, a high-end AHL scorer. Who knows? Again, if he takes a step, he could even be, maybe a bottom of the roster guy for the Jets. But that's all up to him and seeing where he can go. But let's move on to our next pick. This one I'm super excited about. I love fifth-round picks that you can call steals. This is Victor Clingell. So he is an undersized player. He is 5'9", 188 pounds. The reason why I list this guy as a steal, if you look at Scott Wheeler, if you look at Corey Pronman, these are two guys who do their rankings for prospects every single year with The Athletic. Scott Wheeler had him ranked at 72. Corey Pronman had him ranked at 113th. So getting him at 156, that's a great, throw of a dart. I'm super duper happy with that. So despite the fact that he is a bit smaller, 5'10", he is a thicker player. So at very least, he can hold his own in the corners. He is able to run a power play. He's got a ton of skill. Again, when you're drafting in the late rounds for the draft, you are drafting for upside. You're not drafting for a complete player who's able to do everything. And Victor Clingell has tons and tons of upside. He's got great vision. He's a playmaker. He led the 2024 Hlinka Gretzky Cup with 12 points, where with Sweden, he ended up winning bronze in that tournament with, I'm going to butcher this, of course, Skellefteå in Sweden for their junior 20 team. He played 43 games, had 17 goals, 22 assists, 39 points. This is a guy who has, again, like I said, tons of upside. And the real question here is whether or not this guy is going to be dynamic enough to overcome his size. I think he has a lot of potential to be, again, an AHL scorer. And if he's able to put everything together, could maybe play in a kind of like third line scoring role. But this is going to be a guy who takes a bit more time to bake in the oven. I mean, that's pretty normal when you get into, the 5th, 6th, 7th round, which I'm sure I'm going to say that phrase more and more as we get on here. But I really like this pick by the Jets. A lot of people were saying, like, someone's got to take Clingell at some point here. And I love that the Jets were the ones to take the flyer on him. All right, let's move on to the 6th round pick at 188 overall. We have Edison Engel. He's an American. He is a left-handed D. He's 6'2", 174 pounds. He had, in 54 games played, he had 2 goals, 15 assists, 17 points in the USHL for Dubuque. So, this is a guy who, from what I'd seen from Mark Hillier, who is the director of amateur scouting for the Jets, they said that they saw a lot of what they saw in Boumedienne in this guy, but just unfortunately not as developed yet. So they mentioned that they loved his skating. Again, we can look at the elevator pitch here from Elite Prospects. A terrific skater with a game built off modern principles. He efficiently moves pucks, creates offense, and diffuses rushes. That's all you can ask for, really, from a defenseman. And the other thing that Mark Hillier said was that he's expecting to see him take a step offensively in, the coming years or so. But regardless, this guy is going to for sure take a while in the oven. He is going to be playing in the USHL. He's committed to playing in the OHL next season. And then after that, he's going to be playing for Ohio State University. Again, 6th round pick here. You're throwing darts. You're just trying to get someone who's got some upside. If this guy can take a step in his offensive game, he could definitely become a guy who is, potentially on the Moose. And again, I'm never going to try and limit, the potential of a guy just based off how he is at 18, but he definitely could, provide some value for the Jets in the future. And finally, we move on to the final pick of the draft. We have Jacob Clutier, draft in the 7th round at 220th. And again, right now you're just trying to get somebody who's got something a reason to pick them, essentially. And so this guy, he played for Saginaw in the OHL this year. He had 67 games played, 23 goals, 24 assists for 47 points. He's speedy. He's got skill. He's exactly what you want from a 7th round pick. A guy who maybe got overlooked because of his size. Again, this is another player who is 5'10", not the biggest guy, of course, too. He was 4th in rookie scoring this past year. He had 23 goals and 47 points in 67 games. And in the playoffs, he was a point per game player, albeit having only 3 points in 3 games. But again, a totally fine dart to throw for the Jets. No markup here by elite prospects, unfortunately, to get a little bit bigger sample description of what type of game he provides. But again, I think that he's kind of in the same way that you would look at Clingell, with maybe a little bit less of the upside, but a speedy, skilled winger who can maybe make some noise and, hopefully provide some value for maybe the Manitoba Moose in the future, or, go have his stock go up over the next year or so to, potentially become a trade chip for the Jets. But alas, that was the Winnipeg Jets draft this year. Again, I think the Jets, one of their strongest suits is their drafting. They're developing, that's another thing that we can talk about, especially when it comes to defensemen, but that's not something I'm going to jump into on this video here. But if you did enjoy the video, please do throw a like on it. Obviously, I'm new here. You guys maybe know me. I'm Brady. Thank you for tuning in with me. I'm going to be here with Jets Digest through the rest of the off season. Really excited to keep making some content for you guys and see what the Jets are going to do. Have yourself a good one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.